Imagination. Can you imagine, just for a moment, that you are in a grand throne room? The walls are golden, the ceilings are raised, and important people are hurrying about their duties to impress a king. Now can you picture a meadow? Peaceful the night before, but now is affrighted with clashing swords and angry battle cries. Today, it's the easiest thing in the world for me to show you pictures of these things. But in Shakespeare's time, all he had to work with was a stage, some players, and a few props here and there. But he knew that his biggest tool was the imagination of the people in the audience. And that is why Henry V, in my opinion, is one of Shakespeare's greatest history plays. Because not only does he give Henry V amazing speeches that make you want to go kill some French people, but he also invented a chorus that calls on us to create the scenery that surrounds his characters, giving the viewer, or in our case the reader, immense freedom when studying the play. I mean, come on, the throne room we talked about earlier could literally be made of marshmallows for all I care. Shut up, Sarah, on to the plot. At the beginning of the play, a conversation ensues between two gentlemen of the king's court, the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Bishop of Ely. They are speaking of King Henry V, formerly known as Prince Hal. You can see his backstory here. Anyway, both men cannot believe the changes they've seen in Henry since his father died. The breath no sooner left his father's body, but that his wildness, mortified in him, seemed to die too. Concluding with, well, the strawberry grows underneath the nettle. And it was true. The prince. So that when the time came for him to really test the cut of his sails, he more than proved himself. Now the conflict of the play begins when Henry's advisors tell him that he has unknowingly inherited dukedoms in France, that he should now claim by force if necessary. Hearing that the king has turned his wandering eye towards France, the Dauphin, the French king's son and heir to the throne of France, sends ambassadors to try and dissuade Henry V from taking any more action. And this is the funny bit, because the Dauphin thinks that and he has sent his ambassadors to give Henry a little present, as if it were easy to dissuade a king not to go to war. What was this gift, you might ask? Tennis balls. The king is so insulted that he basically does a rage quit and says, "Tell the pleasant prince this mock of his hath turned his balls to gunstones. For many 1,000 widows shall this his mock out of their husbands, mock mothers from their sons, mock castles down. And some, yet ungotten and unborn, shall have cause to curse the Dauphin's scorn." And continues by asking if the prince will still be pleased with his joke when, quote, "thousands weep more than did laugh at it." After he sends the ambassadors away, he immediately begins to gather all of the able-bodied troops in England and heads for France. And he means business. In order to keep his soldiers in line, he must make an example of anyone who crosses him. For example, he executes 3 traitors and hangs 2 men for looting the castle of Harfleur. One of these men was his friend back when he would chill out in taverns. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Okay, so the English get to France, and they start taking down all these castles. The first one is the castle of Harfleur. Harfleur? Sure. I can't do French. So they take down Harfleur. And then they start taking down some other ones, and Henry decides that it's time to go home. Mostly because a lot of the castles are plagued with dysentery, and they're really gross, and rations are low. So they decide to head for Calais, and from there, take a boat ride home. But what happens is that the French gathers their own army and kind of blocks off the English from getting back to England. The English have to try and find a way around the French forces. This means that their rations seriously dwindle, and men are dying of dysentery and they're really tired, so it's bad. Finally, the English have to take their stand near the castle of Agincourt. The English are outnumbered 5-1 and they're seriously starving. And the night before the battle, he disguises himself as one of his soldiers in order to ask them, man to man, what they think of this battle they are about to partake in. Naturally, the men are really nervous, and some of them are angry at Henry for putting them through this battle. So, having gotten to know his men a little better, he is able to give one of the greatest speeches of the English language in this next scene. And this speech is called the St. Crispin's Day speech, or Crispian. I like Crispin because it sounds like a crisp, but that's just me. Basically, his soldiers are all talking to each other and saying, well, man, we wish we just had a couple more men. If we had a couple more men, then we could win this battle and everything would be fine. Henry overhears this, and in order to boost the morale, he says, friends, wish not one man more, because... And the men who weren't here with us on this day? They'll be pretty ashamed, so fight your best. And thus, with courage in their hearts, Henry orders his men to start the battle early in the morning by firing upon the French. The French soldiers react by forming a line of... Oh, I guess that's it, guys. My time's up. I can't really say anymore, but I will say that mud is a key factor in this battle, but that's it. I'm afraid I can't tell you the ending, because time's up. Really, Sarah? I was counting on you to give me the whole story. Sorry, guys. I guess you'll just have to read it. But I only say that, honestly. I'm not trying to be a biznatch or anything, although some of you might think that is what I am doing. But it really is a great story, and Shakespeare did a really awesome job with it, and I think that you should take a crack at it. Yeah. Alright, bye guys. Thanks for watching.